A lot of people don't understand why young people should have a right to die too, and why it is absolutely justified if young people choose to end their own lives, and why age in general has very little to do whether someone should be allowed to end their own life or not. Now, what a lot of people don't understand about young people ending their own lives is that everyone has a different energy setup. Everyone has a different threshold for tasks they can complete in a specific amount of time. Everyone feels exhausted at a different point, and everyone has a different time it takes until they feel recharged again. And everyone needs different things for them to feel recharged. Life is already hard enough for an average person who doesn't have a lot of burdens. Burdens like physical illness or mental pain, things like chronic physical illness, for example, IBS or migraines, back pain, or having lost a limb, etc. Or mental burdens like OCD, ADHD, depression, being on the autism spectrum, anxiety, social anxiety, etc., etc. Now, if a young person has such burdens, then that means that they are going to run out of energy quicker. They have to do the same tasks. They have to work in order to earn money so they can fund their own existence, so they don't suffer, so they can pay rent, so they don't become homeless, so they can pay for their food and their medical needs, so they don't starve and they're not in, so that their medical problems don't increase and they don't have even more pain. So they have to function, but they have less tools, or the tools they have aren't available, or they're broken in a way, or they are not what the world requires or what's needed in the world to achieve or to get those tasks done. They might have, because they have extra burdens, they cannot focus as much on the task at hand because they are distracted with pain. Pain is very distracting to people. If someone is in pain, they can't work as efficiently. And with something like autism, that is a processing difference. People with autism, for example, get sensory overloads, and such sensory overloads exhaust them much quicker. And there are many more examples. And so, it doesn't matter how old someone is in order to feel like they can't and don't want to live anymore because life is just too much for them. Because it's not age that makes people unable to carry the weight of life anymore. Yes, everyone who becomes old will automatically also get burdened by age, but that doesn't mean that young people aren't already burdened with problems and difficulties. They can be as well, and just to the same extent as, for example, old people can. They can feel just as drained of life. And it's as if they have the battery of an old machine. So, metaphorically speaking, when you buy a phone, for example, at first the battery will charge quickly and it will drain slowly. But after a time, after using it for a couple of years, the battery will wear down. And then it will recharge slower and it will drain quicker. Now, some phones, even when you buy them, already when you buy them, they can have a broken battery. They already don't charge quickly and they already get drained quickly. Or metaphorically speaking, everything is just in overdrive. And so just because the phone is new doesn't mean that it can't be in overdrive mode where there's a short circuit or it just makes the phone unusable anymore, and using the phone is just a pain. It doesn't work. Now, people are obviously not machines to be used, but that's how they feel, and that's how it functions. It is similar. And so the point is, again, that whether something or someone is new or old isn't what determines whether it can function anymore or not. And at the bottom line, what should matter is not the age, but how the person feels individually, subjectively. Some people just get tired much quicker of life than others. Some take decades and decades and decades until they feel like, yeah, all right, I've had enough of life. It's okay for me if I die now. And other people feel that early on in their lives when they're young. And just because it may not be the average experience or something that people can sympathize with or understand or relate to, doesn't mean that it's not true, and it doesn't mean that we shouldn't respect it and still understand it as a truth. If someone feels drained from life and they're done with it, it does not matter how old they are. If they feel like they're done, if they feel exhausted and worn down and burnt out, and they don't want to do life anymore, then only that person should decide whether they want to keep on going or not. It is, and I say this very directly, no one else's business to make that decision and to judge that. Only that person himself can make such a judgment. And that is something that needs to be criticized more, that people don't acknowledge that it's not age that determines whether someone is ready to exit life or not, or whether they're allowed to exit life or not. Being ready to go, feeling ready, wanting to go, has nothing to do with age. In that regard, age is just a number. It is whether the person wants to go or not what matters. It's the person's will and want and desire and feelings that matters, and nothing else. Not how old they are. It's, pardon me, but ridiculous. All right. I think that was a rough summary of an argument why young people should definitely be not just allowed to have power over their own lives, but why only they are the only people, they themselves are the only person whose rightful owner they are of that power. All right. Thank you for listening.